validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
There it is. All right. So, yeah. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Seems like we had a little bit of sluggishness going on with uh, the podcast getting started. Oh Lord, it's been a pretty long 24. I'll tell you that. Uh, with what 2 hours of sleep over the last 48 hours, it is really getting there. But it's okay. We're gonna get through it today. Now, here on This and That, um, we do not let the sun rise without going live, and we don't always start on time. And that's why we ask you guys to like and subscribe, hit those notification buttons, and then mash the react buttons while you're here. We also ask that you take the time to go and take a look at the membership with all of the new releases we have going on for you guys. Um, Night a week. On Sundays, we cover, questions and comments from the fans, business and politics. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, where Monday we talk about uh, how politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Then on Tuesdays, we discuss different ways to make, save, and invest money, different ways to look at your money, different ways to make decisions that impact your money. And then Wednesdays, we talk about different countries around the world for you to potentially live and invest your money in other countries, international investing. Then on Thursday, today being Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we give you guys information about self improvement, personal development, relationship topics, socialization, negotiations, building your brand, raises, promotions, retirement, forced retirement, terminations, uh, and then how to get your 20 and 30-year plan, and then why is it so important. So, with everything that's been going on, we don't have a lot of updates, but we will have your upcoming Monday show listed by, I want to say, Saturday night or Sunday afternoon, so that you guys can be prepared for the upcoming Monday show. But today we're supposed to be talking about the love logic and longevity when you're building lasting relationships. Now that's a lot to talk about, but not that singles over the past 3 years. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right into it. Imagine you're in a relationship that feels, you know, perfect, or at least uh, fully meeting all of your expectations, or at least so you think in the beginning, right? It's the kind of love story that you used to dream about or see on one of those Walt Disney classics, right? You finish each other's sentences, the chemistry is electric. Your friends have gone from asking if you'll get married to asking when you'll get married, right? Uh, he uh, he says that he loves you, and you believe that you love him as well. And let's just say that you kind of like you feel the way that your partner looks at you, the way that they hold you, the way that they show up for you. You got to understand, there's just one problem. The one question that truly matters remains unasked. The conversation about forever seems to be a destination that you can never quite reach. And a quiet, frustrating thought begins to creep in. Well, if my partner loves me this much, why won't he propose? And I know a lot of women ask themselves that. If the guy claims that he loves me so much, why won't he propose? We've been together 5 years, 10 years, some of y'all like 15 years, right? If we're having what is considered, a very amazing situation, what's he waiting for? You've told yourself that this depth of love should be enough to take that final step. And now you're starting to feel powerless and wondering if you're missing something fundamental. Ladies, here's the truth that can shift everything for you. For many men, love gets him in the door, but doesn't always get him to sign the lease, right? Love makes a man want to be with you, spend time with you, connect with you. But for him to go all in, to move from I love you to I want to build a life with you forever, his heart might be all in, but his mind is, after subconsciously running different, more logical programs, not quite there yet, right? It's going to be scanning for specific critical signs that tell him that this relationship is built to last. How you doing, Daredevil? No, you're definitely not my first sub, but if you subbed, I greatly appreciate it. You would be part of, I want to say, closer to 87,000 subs because three-quarters of my channel is from uh, Bangladesh. Special shout out to Bangladesh, and some from Kazakhstan and Belarus. No, you're not the first one because you're thinking that you're the first one live. Meet Steven, one of my long-standing members that is also a subscriber to the channel. And we also have Unc Andy, which is another one of our long-standing members that has also subscribed to the channel. So you're not, and then we have Michael, who's lingering in the background. I'm waiting for him to put in a pretty decent comment, who has also subscribed to this. So you can't be the first one, and you're not even the first one that's live. There's quite a few. But I appreciate you diving in. See, there we go with really wild questions. Now, um, here on this and that, we actually I know that when you guys click on the show, that there's a pop up that tells you guys to stay on topic, and remain appropriate, and then respect the other people that are on the channel. Argue the topic at hand, not bash the people that deliver the information. So, you're asking me if I like, I don't know, whatever that is. And I'm going to be real with you that uh, now that I think about it, your profile photo will probably get you banned. I don't even know what it is, but it almost looks like a butt, which, if that is in fact the case, if Steven verifies that that's exactly what we're looking at, then your profile photo will get you banned. It's just saying. The topic is um you're saying that it's not that. What is it? What is it? Because I don't know. It looks like a butt to me. It looks like an inappropriate photo. What is it? Who can verify? Michael verify. Uh, I can't zoom in and see. So, one of you guys tell me. It's in NFSW. I don't know what that is either. So we were originally on the topic about, because you're really looking like a troll right now. Uh, it's a cat. Oh, well, if that's what I think it is, you're. Yeah, yeah. I see carefully. I see carefully. Steven, you were supposed to tell me about this person. So we were talking about, um, when you jumped in, why are people not getting married when they see, um, that they're supposed to be in such a happy relationship, that they're supposed to be in love with somebody, or whatever the case may be? Well, I try my best to be that kind of person, to kind of try not to ban people for coming to the show, but I do believe that if you're inappropriate, even with a profile photo, well, yeah, because your profile photo looks inappropriate, my guy. Your profile photo looks extremely inappropriate. No, because instead of you having a normal face on there, you have an inappropriate looking image. Even if it is the kind of image that is like a play on visual aesthetics, it's the kind of image that encourages people to believe that there's something inappropriate going on here, which you shouldn't even be trying to tempt people into observing that there might be some shenanigans afoot. Just being honest, you should just put yourself on there the way Steven did and the way Michael does. The fact that you um Yeah, it just looks really bad. It just looks really bad. It really does. It looks really bad. So, I'm again, you're not even on topic. We like I said, we were just about to talk about the longevity of relationships. We were just about to talk about marriage and addressing some issues as to why women are in relationships with what they believe to be good men who are not trying to marry them for whatever reason. And we were just about to hash out why that is when you popped up and you're asking me left field questions. So yeah, I was tiptoeing on the subject, but I think we're gonna go ahead and just like, yeah, boot you out. I tried, guys. I tried. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but it's just there's just too much stuff going on. So back to the main topic. I'm so forgiving. I but nah, I just can't do it. Look, so as we were talking about before the person came in with his inappropriate profile, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but typically guys are looking at this relationship to determine if the relationship is built to last. There's going to be signals that aren't about being more beautiful or successful because women believe that because they're attractive that they're marriage material. Some women believe that because they have a good career that they're marriage material. But if a woman was dating a financially challenged man and her income was making him successful, then that would be wife material because she would be financially investing in the man to build the man up, not just pay her half of the rent. Um, if a woman was using the skill set and the knowledge that she learned from college to aid her man in being successful, networking for her man and building her man up, then she would be wife material with her knowledge and skill set from college. But the average modern 2026 woman, more often than not, builds their own career up and expects the man to support that career choice. It is a um, all for her and her for her type behavior more often than not. Now, there are a lot of good women out there that do a lot of stuff for their man, but one of the reasons why the ones that don't get married find themselves in a position where they're not getting married, but they believe that they're wife material. It is because what a woman believes that a man values in a wife is not what a man actually values in a wife, because the men are looking for safety for themselves, their opinions, their values, their beliefs, their decisions, respect, and long-term partnership, right? Not a monarchy or a dictatorship where the woman is going to control him and everything that he does, right? That's not what men look for, right? So when a man gets these four signals consistently, you know, commitment stops feeling like a question, feels like the only conclusion. So, in tonight's show, we're going to break down exactly what those four signals are and why they're so crucial. And most importantly, how you can start sending them in a way that feels authentic to you and inspires the lifetime commitment that you deserve. So, for the first and arguably the most important signal, it's going to be the feeling of unshakable emotional safety. Now, ladies, y'all fail at this one on a regular basis. I'm just going to have to start there and let you know that you fail on that on a regular basis. And one of the reasons why you fail on that one more often than not is because when it comes down to emotional safety, when a man talks about his feelings, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he would prefer for you to behave like, in those situations, you are not supposed to shame and shun him for what he thinks and how he believes. If he disagrees with your, perspective, there's supposed to be an area of respect for him to follow what he says. Now, that doesn't always happen from the modern 2026 woman, but that's going to be another reason why the modern woman fails with emotional safety. Now, what happens as a byproduct of failing with emotional safety is that even though the man may not withdraw from the relationship right away, what will happen is that the man will withdraw from emotional disclosure. So self-preservation, he will stop opening up emotionally, and he will start becoming a wall of feeling, and he will not be the 100% transparent person that she would expect him to be. Now, she would blame him for that and assume that he has something to hide, and her insecurities would lead to her looking for what he's hiding, but he's not always hiding an affair or a second family or anything like that. He's just protecting himself from the negative judgment from his romantic partner. So instead of being devalued and belittled by his partner, he will no longer talk to her about the things that he knows that she doesn't approve of, even though these are things that are not like inappropriate for the relationship. So if a man has a hobby like collectible trading cards or video games or cars or something that the woman has no value in, if she would shame and belittle that particular topic, if he had a hobby of model trains or building boats out of Legos or whatever, and she thought it was stupid, he would never talk to her about it because she doesn't value his hobbies, right? um, if he won a tournament or if he was going to be involved in a competition, he wouldn't talk to her about it because she doesn't value his hobbies. Now, um, it goes further than that, but this is just a really good example of how you can start losing your partner without actually losing, because he'll physically be there, but the emotional safety would be gone and he would no longer open up. FX Trader says when it comes to love, there is no logic. I can agree with that, and that's one of the things that really messes with relationships because men are logical and rational. Women are not logical or rational. Women think emotionally, and when they try to disclose their perspective from how they feel, it is always a one-sided they benefit feeling. It is very rarely a he doesn't benefit feeling. Now, she can paint a picture like victim blaming and make it seem like she doesn't benefit from certain things. But truth of the matter is that when a woman discloses why she thinks things should go a certain way, it typically ends up being because she benefits from it being that way. Now, when a man discloses why he thinks logically it should be that way, if you flip the script and put different people in different places, it would still be the same way. And logically speaking, if it's fair for one, it's fair for both. So, yes, when it comes to love, logic is not going to be there. And that's why they come up with the phrases like nose wide open and stuff to that effect, because you're not thinking clearly when you're allowing your emotions to dictate what you will allow to occur in your presence, which leads you to being in situations where red flags are ignored and negative behavior is tolerated for the sake of, I love this person. Now, when women do this, when they're dating abusive men, they allow the man to be physically or emotionally or psychologically abusive. People tell her that this isn't good for her, and she ignores it because of the blind feeling. When the same type of abuse happens from a woman to a man, and men don't tell other men to get out of the situation, they just tell them, she's emotional, right? Work on it and fix it, right? But it's still wrong. You don't belong in a situation where you don't feel respected, you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel loved. You should not be in a relationship where your partner is hitting on you, whether it's out of play or out of anger or fear or shame or any other reason why one person would hit another person. When we were children, we were taught that hitting is bad, and we're not supposed to hit someone else, whether they're a boy or a girl. And we're supposed to defend ourselves from being hit by someone else. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. But somewhere along the lines between teenager and adulthood, uh, it, it turned into boys are supposed to allow girls to beat on boys, but boys are not supposed to respond to that behavior. Women are learning that it's okay to hit on guys because they're guys, and guys aren't supposed to hit them back. Fuck around and catch two uppercuts around me with bullshit, but that's like the it's not it stops being equal at some point. I think somewhere after puberty it stops being equal. He says, "What's good for the goose is good for the gander." Damn right. Um, if I got hit with a left, she's gonna get hit with a left and a right. It's gonna be, yeah. She threw something at me. I'm gonna throw. It's gonna be some Acme Lad shit around me. I'm gonna throw something heavier back. He's, I'm jumping on her, wrestling her to the floor, and I'm coming out of the woodwork with a chair shot. It's gonna be 2-on-1. We're not gonna let this slide, bro. We're not gonna let it slide. So, what's really emotional safety? Okay, we hear the term a lot, but its powers in long-term commitment, and that's going to be often misunderstood. Emotional safety isn't just about being nice or avoiding an argument, because actually trying to be conflict avoidant is more problematic in your relationships than facing the difficulties head on. Okay, articulating that you don't like certain things, that you're not going to accept certain things, and then negotiate what you will tolerate because you can't give nothing to your partner and expect everything from your partner. You have to give up something for your partner so that you can receive something from your partner. And it's not always going to be weighted equally, but there has to be some negotiation in there. So you cannot be avoiding arguments and always agreeing just to make your partner shut up, or always agreeing just so that you can make the conflict stop. Because the conflict doesn't stop, it actually gets worse because you have already confirmed, agreed, almost sworn under oath that you would cooperate to a narrative that you don't agree with. Then, when you rebel against that narrative, now there is the ammunition from your partner that you agreed to this shit. So why are you rebelling against it? So avoiding an argument is not okay. Now, again, getting into the argument is not always okay, but you do have to discuss that there are certain things about the situation that you just don't like, and certain things you will allow to occur because I mean you have to give up something, but certain things you're just not going to let happen, and we're going to have to figure out something different. Otherwise, if one of you is unhappy and the other one is reasonably satisfied, it is an imbalanced relationship, and you should not be in a relationship where both people are unsatisfied and unhappy. That works in business, that doesn't work in relationships. A good business transaction, both people are either equally dissatisfied with the outcome because they gave up more than what they wanted to, but they got what they wanted out of the deal, or they're reasonably satisfied with the trade because they got what they were looking for without having to give up too much. In a relationship, though, both people are supposed to be reasonably content or enthusiastic about the results of the relationship. No person in a relationship should be unhappy or dissatisfied about the outcome or the progress of the relationship, right? So you guys got to understand it's not about avoiding the arguments, but it is going to be about creating a relational space where the man's mind and body register you as the woman as his home, which not a lot of women want to perform. The man's house is supposed to be his home, and the woman is supposed to be in charge of it. But a true successful relationship, the woman's the man's home. So no matter where y'all move to, he's always going home to her because she is his home, not because she's in his home, right? That's a whole nother level of commitment. So it's a foundation upon which the entire palace of commitment is going to be built. Now, without it, even the most passionate love rests on shaky ground because you guys can have the best sex in the world, but it's going to get old. You guys are going to change. Your chemistry is going to change. Male functions are going to cease. Women's functions are going to dry up and require a lot of really expensive lubricants. And ultimately, you're going to find yourselves at an age in life where you're able to sit in the living room with not one romantic thought in mind, just talking about how good total is. And when you get to that part, you guys are supposed to have that type of emotional bond where that is a fulfilling discussion. Right? Now, many men are socialized not to process or express their full range of emotions. From a young age, they're often hearing things like man up or don't cry. I've told you guys this before. And then they learn to see vulnerability as a weakness. As a result, a lot of men walk through the world wearing a mask of competence and control while internally carrying the same anxieties and fears as anyone else. Now, the woman who provides a space where that man and his mask can come off, where this man has a space without judgment, without resentment, without retaliation, that woman becomes one of the most irreplaceable people in his life. Now, this isn't just a preference, it's about deep seated needs for connections. So think about the difference between the fireworks show of a new romance, exciting, intense, but fleeting, and the slow burning, steady heart fire that provides warmth and security for years, generations even. Now, for a long term bond to form, a person needs to feel a deep sense of psychological safety. Their nervous system has to move out of a state of defense and into a state of connection. And this is going to be where the brain's threat detection center comes to play. Now, while the brain can tell the difference between a physical and an emotional threat, harsh criticism or shame from a partner can trigger similar stress responses. That feeling of being attacked can send him into fight, flight, or freeze mode, where he might become defensive and argue back, which is fighting, or shut down and emotionally withdraw, which is fleeing, or just freeze up, unable to connect at all. Now, if this pattern repeats in the relationship starts to be associated with danger, not safety. While he won't remove himself from the relationship, the love still exist, but the logical part of his brain will scream that this isn't a safe place to build a future. And that's the part that people don't pay attention to. What? Hold on a second. It's stuck on top of your message. I was trying to read your message, and your message is on top of your message. What kind of glitch is that? He says, Dag nabbit, there's a whole paragraph there that did not do what I wanted it to do. There it is. All right. It says, it is interesting how birds build nests. Sometimes it is the female while the male is gathering supplies, depending on the species. True. Now, to build a home, it is going to take two. You are correct about that. And I think one of the reasons why marriage is so hard for modern women is because a lot of modern women believe that it is more the man's job to progress the relationship to marriage by his efforts to wow her, impress her, and continue to perform the husband role through an extended period of time where he's basically bribing her and convincing her to stay long enough for him to have the requirement to propose so that she has the capabilities to accept where he is now stuck with her for the rest of his life. That logic is heavily flawed. See, the thing is that since the man is responsible for proposing to the woman, not the other way around, the woman should be showing the man all of the reasons why he should propose to her. And what she is showing him should be outside of the bedroom, right? It should be everything additional to the physical intimacy, right? And I don't understand why a lot of women have forgotten this concept. But this is part of the reason why a lot of men go to Southeast Asia for the type of women that still remember that this is necessary. Because just like Michael said, it takes two to build the relationship. So the man is going to do things like carry your stuff and protect you from the rain and get splashed by cars and beat up by strangers and all of the things that a dude is going to do and pay the bill and pay the bills in the house as well as out on the dates and all of this stuff to show his value in you. But what are women going to do besides sleep with the guy, right? Now, the first thing women think about is cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, and, giving birth and raising the kids. But raising the kids is her teaching the children what she wants the children to know. Um, that's not her teaching the children what he wants the children to know. So those things, while they are beneficial, she has to understand that that is not fundamentally uh that's not fundamentally the things that um men look for in what we believe to be a marriage style situation. So what behaviors often unintentionally destroy the feeling of safety? Let's talk about that real quick. One of the most damaging is what we call weaponized vulnerability. Now, this is going to be when he takes a risk and shares a past failure in his life, a current insecurity, or a deep fear. You listen, you comfort him, but later, during an argument or in front of his friends when you're pissed off, you've used that vulnerability against him. Imagine he confides that he's insecure about his career progress. Then, in the middle of a fucking Target somewhere, you guys get into a fight about money because you want to buy some makeup that he doesn't really find value in paying for. Then you yell in the middle of aisle 13, well, maybe if you were more ambitious like Mark, we wouldn't have this problem. In that moment, you've confirmed his deepest fear that his vulnerability will be used as a weapon. Now, his brain logs this as a major breach of trust, and the walls immediately go up twice as thick. And you got to understand that after you do this, you can apologize all you want, but it is not going to change how he feels about you. He said, put my heart on a plate for you. No, no, I'm too old for that shit. My heart might be in a glass house, but it will stay in my chest. I am not about to have you throw my heart on the ground and have you can dancing all over my heart. That makes no sense. No, sir. You got some guys that wear their hearts on a sleeve. I'm not trying to get my heart dirty. I'm too pretty for that shit. He says, go ahead and stick a knife into it. Bro, you just ready to kick the bucket, ain't you? I'm not trying to have that. if I'm dating the kind of female that I believe is going to stab me in the back, or for Christ's sakes, look me in the eye and stab me in the chest, then I'm in the wrong relationship. I should be in the type of relationship where I can blindly trust my partner and know that she can Mr. and Mrs. Smith my situation and get me out of a bind that I wasn't planning on getting into. That she can come out of nowhere and be the backup that I need to resolve a conflict that I have become overwhelmed in. And a lot of women believe that that's not the kind of man that they want to have, as a guy that needs backup from his woman. But look, if I'm beating this dude up and his girlfriend jumps in, and I'm not supposed to hit girls, my girlfriend is supposed to jump in and beat up the other girl. That's how this works. We're in this together as a couple. It's a mixed gender tag team match now. You know what I mean? But in other situations that are not low value and low class, if I'm in a financial situation where I'm trying to invest in something and I don't see how the numbers don't add up, I think this is a surefire deal. And my wife is supposed to have gone to college and she's gotten an accounting degree. She should be able to look over these fucking numbers and point out where the numbers don't add up and be able to pull me over to the side, not in front of the deal, and explain to me where the deal falls short. Then also provide some recommendations on how we can bridge the gap and turn a profit on this deal or walk away from this deal because it doesn't benefit us. Then I could walk back into that conversation as a secure masculine man, as a unified front, not just speaking for me, but collectively for my family, and either presenting a better deal that benefits my household or rejecting this deal because it doesn't benefit my household. Now, women believe that they should just speak up on their own and say, oh, well, I'm smart and I'm successful and I'm educated in feminist movement and I should be able to just talk for myself. But if you are going to disagree with your boyfriend or your husband, you represent a house divided. If you're talking to, even on Family Feud, it's a game show, but on Family Feud, the family discusses the answer and one person gives that final answer. Y'all know how it works. You have one side of the room, they have three chances to get it. And if they miss, the other side of the room has one chance. You have like five people there. They all come together, they discuss, and the one answer that they all agree to, they allow one person to deliver the message to the rest of the room. Collectively, that is how you're supposed to handle business in a relationship, is that we're supposed to step off to the side and we're supposed to discuss this. Not all the time does the man have to speak for the woman, because if this was a situation where there were more women than men in the discussion, it'd probably be more appropriate for my wife to represent the family. But at the same time, whoever's representing the family should be in a collective agreement with everyone else in the family when the message is delivered by one person. But if you don't agree with me, we talk about this at the house. If I don't agree with you, we talk about this at the house. You do not devalue my opinion in open public, because that makes us both look bad. Because you don't trust my judgment, but you chose somebody you can't trust. So you have bad judgment skills, and you think I have bad judgment skills, which means the partner sitting across the room from us believes that they can't do business with us because neither one of us has good judgment skills. Trader says 80% of women want the 2% of the top successful men. Now, how is that ever going to work? It's not, because um, I remember last year we were talking about there were like well over 365 million Americans, and after they got rid of like 13 million immigrants that are not considered Americans, the calculations have been recalibrated to something closer to like 345 million or 350 million Americans. Right now, if you think about, if we say the number is roughly 350 million, 1% of that would be like 3.5 million. 2% of that would be 7 million. If there are 7 million men, that half of the population, and half of 350 would be what? 175, 175,000. If 7 million men are desired by 175 million women, the odds of one of those women getting one of those men is slim to none. Then we've got to recognize that a majority of a lot of those successful men are either married, divorced, or remarried, whether it's their third marriage or whatever, right? And uh the majority of women want that guy. Now, what that means is that if 7 million men are desired by the majority of women, that means that out of the what 175 million men, you have less than 160 million men that no woman wants. Now, that means that there is a low demand for those men. And that's a lot of the reasons why women are able to treat men like it's a buyer's market and dictate terms of control over those types of relationships because they didn't get the man that they wanted. They settled for the man that they could get. So now she controls the narrative because he's not valuable to her. If he was truly valuable to her, the way that the man worships the ground that the woman walks on is the same way that the woman would worship the ground that the man walks on. And it doesn't happen that way. The one person loves someone else more, and that's the person that gives it all they've got. Michael says, "Go ahead and talk for yourself, but let me talk for myself." That's not how that's not a good relationship, and that's not a good business partner either. He said, "We talk about this in private." Yes. So here's the thing about that, Michael. If somebody puts up a proposal, okay, let's say that there's an estate sale. Let's say that in that estate sale, there's a 1957 Bentley in the estate sale. There's two 1940s antique war chests. We don't know what's in it. We can only buy one or the other, the Bentley or the two chests. You might want the chest. I might want the Bentley. But we only got enough money to make one decision. If we fight amongst ourselves in public, we lose both. If I decide on a car and you decide on a chest, we don't get either. So when you say you talk for yourself and I talk for myself in a relationship, you have just destroyed the value of your cohesive unit in the eyes of the public because you have to understand that when you are in a truly committed relationship, you are considered one unit, which that's reflective on your tax breaks. You are when you file joint, you're collectively one unit, and they give you 150% of what one individual person would get, right? So that's the reason why you speak for you and I speak for me is a bad relationship, and that's also going to be the reason why if we can't negotiate this in private and then come to an agreement and then make a singular decision as a collective unit, we don't belong together. That's the reason why when women find that they're dating a guy, because they have the exact same hypothetical position that you're saying that she should be able to talk for herself because she pays for half the bills and she should be able to put her opinion on the table. No, you put your opinion in front of your boyfriend or your husband and let your boyfriend or your husband put his opinion on the table in front of you and you two come to an agreement before y'all walk away from your family table and go walk over there to that deal and make that discussion, right? That is the appropriate way to do it. And if you're not doing it that way, you're not supportive of marriage. right? He says, I'm taking it all. Well, in that dynamic, you're not going to be able to sustain a healthy marriage. You can probably sustain a marriage, just not a healthy one. He says, we talk about it before purchasing a different case. No, it's the exact same case because if you're going to say that I'm going to talk for myself and you're going to talk for yourself, you guys are not deliberating on how to come to a collective agreement. It's every person for themselves. And if you are living in a relationship where it's every person for themselves, you're not working together. So ultimately, if I'm giving you the hypothetical that there's one thing over here, there's another thing over here that, and we have a difference of opinion, but we only have enough to get one. We can't get it all because we only have enough to get one. We have to decide which one are we going to get. And after we come to a discussion, we would make an agreement, and then some type of way we would make an agreement, and then whatever we decide, whether it's the two war chest or the Bentley, we go and do whatever we agreed on. That would be a healthy relationship. Now, in practice, it doesn't go that way. Usually, the woman stomps her feet, crosses her arms, and makes demands, and then removes all areas of physical and emotional intimacy until she gets her way. And men learn that to keep the peace in their relationship, that the man must give unconditional surrender. And after 10, 20, 30 years of allowing his woman to psychologically and emotionally abuse him, and he's unwilling to leave, but sometimes he gets sex in that particular dynamic, he ends up never putting in his input. It's crazy, but that's typically what happens. He says, "You ever been to a party or elsewhere uh, when you're talking and your mate starts talking over you?" I actually have been in a situation where my homeboy tried to talk over me, and I shut that shit down because that's not appropriate. If we're supposed to be in this together, then we can sidebar and have a discussion. But if we're working on something together and I'm supposed to flagship this business, then I'm the one that's talking the deal. You tell me what you think. I tell them what we decided. Now, if you want to be at the head of the table and we agree to those terms, I tell you what I think, and then you tell them what we decide. It's still the same dynamic. In a business deal in corporate America, the CEOs and executives all sit at the table and talk about how this deal is supposed to work. They have one representative for the company go to the deal and work out the deal. Then everybody's demands to the best of this person's abilities is supposed to be met with the deal. That person comes back debriefing the table with what they were willing to accomplish. It's the same thing. Oh yeah, it is annoying when you're supposed to be in this together and you have a rogue partner, whether it's your homeboy, whether it's your girlfriend. It is annoying, and that's why the relationships don't survive. You stop doing business with people who go rogue. You stop including people who don't perform. You stop providing for individuals that rebel. It changes the dynamic of the relationship. Now, another safety destroyer is emotional volatility. Now, this is the roller coaster relationships. One day you're showering him with affection, and then the next you're distant and critical, leaving them confused about what he did wrong. When affection is used as a reward and withdrawal is used as a punishment, he can never truly relax. He's constantly walking on eggshells, trying to manage your moods instead of connecting with you. Now, a man might be drawn to the drama for a season, but He's never going to choose to build a house on a roller coaster. So, some guys are counterintuitive and they'll claim that they like a spicy woman, sassy bitch, right? To tame this girl. No, they don't. They're lying to themselves more than they're lying to the woman. And when women believe that that's what a man wants is a woman that is defensive and argumentative, not cooperative and negotiating. Um, no, yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. And in those dynamics, it is not a healthy relationship. And the problem is that those are the types of relationships that usually leads to him cheating on her with someone that is not going to cause that type of conflict. When a man spends too much time at work, he leaves his woman without the emotional validation that she needs. When she does not have the emotional validity that she needs, she ends up cheating on him with the pool boy, the tennis coach, the karate instructor, the yoga instructor, the mechanic, the car dealer, the landscaper, the half of the freaking neighborhood. Now, when a woman does not provide the physical and emotional needs that a man is required, he starts leaving her for the secretary, the file clerk, the bus driver, everybody else, the girl at Subway, everybody else. And some guys who doesn't have a female that they work with nearby, pass by, or whatever, they just order females on the go. Escorts, call girls, prostitutes, Backpage, OnlyFans, porn subscriptions, because she's not providing him what he needs to be validated. Now, public humiliation. You guys gotta. We just talked about this one, but public humiliation is a fast track to eroding commitment. Now, this can be as subtle as a condescending joke about him in front of friends, or as an overt as airing your grievances on social media, talking about how your man ain't shit. And then thinking that after he read the post online, that the relationship is going to be fine. I was just venting. For many people, their reputation and the respect they command are tied to their identities. So when his supposed biggest ally publicly undermines him, it feels like a profound betrayal. So disrespecting and devaluing your man, and disrespecting and devaluing your man's opinions, observations, that is not beneficial to the success of the relationship. He says average married couples have on average about 52 times per year and decreased with age, which is about once a week at best, and decreases with age. So where it goes from once a week to once a month to once every 6 months to I can't remember the last time it happened. But she gets the emotional validation throughout the marriage sometimes, and then they'll find themselves where she doesn't feel fulfilled, he doesn't feel fulfilled. She's got Alejandro, he's got Britney Spears. Nobody knows what happened. Now we have to try to rekindle the relationship. So, how do you build a Fort Knox level emotional safety? First, you have to practice curiosity over criticism. When a man does something frustrating, instead of criticizing his character, such as, why are you so distant? Get curious about the feelings behind the behavior. You could say things like, I've noticed that you've been quiet lately. Feels like something's on your mind. What's going on? Now, this invites him in to a supposed to be no judgmental, non-retaliatory, non-resentment, safe space instead of attacking him. Second, you want to master the quiet art of calm, conflict, and quick repair. The difference between a lasting relationship and one that breaks isn't the absence of arguments, but the ability to repair the connection afterwards. So this means arguing about the issue, not assassinating his character because you don't like his opinion in the discussion, which is why we make that one of the priorities in the podcast. Is that how is it just curls up in my lap and looks up at me? Oh, you're talking about your cats. Oh, okay. Well, they value you. They value you a lot. That's a good thing. Now, this is going to mean being able to say, let's take 20 minutes to cool down and then come back to it. And a lot of the times, it's not always going to be the man that's going to be the one that says, let's take a break from this discussion. I tell people on the show plenty of times that you can find yourself accidentally losing your cool with your partner. Okay. And you can find yourself yelling at your partner. Okay. First things first, you need to practice your library voice. Everyone in the house needs to practice their library voice and then practice regulating the volume of items in your house so that you don't get used to things being loud. You don't get used to talking over noise. You want to practice calm communication with one another. And the reason why you want to do this is because when you're in a moment where you're emotionally charged and you find yourself being able to hear your own voice echoing off of the walls, when that happens, you realize to yourself that you are personally being too loud in this discussion. And that is the moment that you decide to call a timeout in this discussion. That's all it takes. It doesn't matter what the other person's doing. They could be yelling louder than you. It doesn't matter. What matters is that when I can hear my voice echoing off of these walls, I'm being too loud. And I need to calm the fuck down. We take 20 minutes, go in separate rooms, vent. Some of y'all might want to smoke a blunt. Some of y'all might want to drink a 40. Some of y'all might want to do both. And then after you can calm down a little bit, come back. And we're only going to address the core concerns from both sides. What went wrong, not who did it. And then what can we do to fix it, which doesn't require fixing you or fixing me, just approaching the outcome of the situation differently so that we can get to an agreement on how this, if it becomes a repetitive experience in our relationship, gets resolved without repetitive conflict. All right. That's how you take a break and then come back to the situation and then resolve the situation. Most importantly, it's going to mean being able to apologize when you recognize that you may have overstepped and then try to reconnect quickly. True attachment is forged in these moments of repair. He said it's hard to hear yourself when emotionally stressed. Yes, you're true. Exactly, you're right. It is hard to hear yourself when you're emotionally stressed. But that's the reason why that particular dynamic is so important. With it being so hard for you to hear yourself when you are emotionally stressed, when you actually pay attention to what you're hearing, not what you're saying, there's going to be a moment, and it's not going to be instantaneous. Y'all might start this conversation 5 minutes in, y'all start raising y'all voices to one another. 10 minutes in, You realize that you can hear yourself talking. That's when you realize your voice is bouncing off the walls. That's when you realize that you're being too loud. That's when you realize that you've been emotionally charged for far too long in a situation and you need to regroup. Yeah, especially when it's not just when you're young and it's not just hormonal imbalances. It actually truthfully has nothing to do with your age or your hormone levels. It a lot of the times has to do with your emotional investment into the situation. It has a lot to do with your anger management capabilities. It has a lot to do with your upbringing on how you prefer or desire to be in control of things. Some people believe and they learn through experience that if you talk loud enough, everybody submits in the situation. A lot of girls are taught that if they scream, that the situation will change. That might work if you're being attacked by somebody in a dark alley, but that's not good for your relationship. Yelling at your partner to enact fear into your partner to gain control over the conversation actually turns your presence into a non-safe zone for your partner. So even if it does work that she raises her voice and he submits to her anger and then follows her lead, he has effectively recognized his partner as a threat in his relationship and now starts building emotional walls against that threat. So it's counterproductive. So the moment that you realize that you're slipping, and it's not going to be an instantaneous thing. Some of y'all might be in an argument back and forth for like 20 minutes, and then you realize that you're shouting. Yeah, some of y'all might not realize that you've been talking too loud too long, and you might find that your throat hurts because you've been screaming for so long. That's the moment when you realize I should probably shut the fuck up for an hour, regain my voice box, and then come back and talk to you in a calm manner. We may have to pin this discussion and readdress the situation tomorrow, but we're going to make up today about how we treated each other, and we're going to resolve the conflict tomorrow. That might have to happen. I know that's hard, but without good coping skills, you will become jaded. And you have to recognize that that resentment lingers in the relationship, and that resentment triggers retaliation. And the retaliation typically triggers resentment, and that snowballs into infidelity and other areas of unnecessary conflict in a relationship. Now, finally, and we're almost halfway through, so, but this is just the first half. You're cultivating predictability and consistency. Now, this doesn't mean be boring, right? It means that your core character is trustworthy and your love is a stable force that is unconditional. So you're not cutting them off because you're mad at them today. It's not what you're supposed to do. He needs to know that you are there for him, win, lose, or draw, right? He needs to trust you and your affection and recognize that that is going to be genuine, not a bargaining chip. And this consistency allows his nervous system to finally stand down. And then he knows that with you, he is truly deeply safe, right? Michael says, and then you realize you're 70. If you last until 70, because really a lot of the relationships in modern times have been 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days. So you don't make it to year two. You don't make it to 18 months. 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days is like 3 weeks shy, 3 weeks and a day shy of 18 months, a year and a half, and they're broken up again. So long term relationships are like 9 month relationships. That's why you see people talking about we've been together for a year and then we were married. Do you understand the lack of logic behind that timeline? The first 3 months we're not paying attention to shit. The next 6 months we're fixing a bunch of shit that we allowed to happen. And that's the first 9 months of your relationship. 3 months after that, you can't tell me that you're getting married. You're still fixing a relationship. And a lot of us start with dating for sex, and women are dating for the stuff that they get from dating. So, how we want to be treated in a relationship is not addressed in the first 3 months. It's addressed in the next 6 months. So, she has not taught her boyfriend exactly what she would expect for husband material. He has not taught his wife exactly what he expects for wife material. So she's not ready to be promoted for him. He's not ready to be promoted for her. But her social network is going to pressure her to pressure him to marry her because they've been consistently sleeping together for 12 months or she got pregnant. Those are not reasons to get married. You have to find the value in him to say yes, and he's got to find the value in you to ask the fucking question. Now, if the roles were reversed, since men are supposed to perform as husbands from day one, if women propose to men where the man decides yes because you've been doing your wifely duty or no because you still need work, women would put more effort into the dating phase. It honest to God, even if we had the dynamic where men paid for the first date, men paid up until a certain period of time, and then they just stop paying. During the time that the man pays, the woman has to perform her wifely duties, whatever those are supposed to be. And then she proposes to the man to keep the man paying for the woman. I know that sounds like a weird structure, but let's say if we're going to be together for 2 years, and then after that 2 years, if you're not ready for this, then that's it. You get husband material trial period for that period of time. You need to learn what it takes to be the kind of wife that deserves this type of behavior. And if you don't meet that 24-month timeline, when you go to propose, I'm going to say no, and that's going to be it. I'm going to stop paying. And we might not break up, but I'm not going to pay for anything else. And for the next 2 years, you're going to learn how to be the wife that I want so that we can get married. If we had that type of culture, women would behave better. But right now, we have the kind of culture where it's one sided. One party performs from first contact to marriage, and one party performs because they're married. And ultimately, because it is a one sided dynamic, the workload of carrying and facilitating a relationship is on the person who initiated first contact. And that's crazy. Now, if emotional safety is the foundation of the home, the man is going to build this with you with emotional safety as a foundation. Then respect is going to be the frame that holds the foundation together. And for many men, feeling respected by their partner is experienced as a profound form of love. So if he doesn't feel fundamentally respected, there will always be a barrier to full commitment. You can have a dude that's there all the time doing all the stuff that he's supposed to do, but why the fuck is he gonna marry you if you don't respect him? Or he doesn't believe you respect him. You might feel like it's tough love, and he might feel like it's public humiliation. Whoever said women started that and taught it to their sons, and then men started replicating that because that's how they stay in long-term marriage. Happy wife, happy life means that if you give her, if you, and this comes from a culture, this is a Western culture where as men, we parade our resources by spending the most money we can afford on the woman. Gifts, trips, expensive dinners, expensive clothes to go on the expensive dinners. And then we spend our whole lives working to make enough money to buy her even more expensive things and taking her on expensive excursions so that we can then marry her, right? And the only thing we're supposed to get out of that is a consistent sex partner, right? Once you get married, sometimes, a lot of the times, you're getting married because y'all got pregnant. So you didn't belong together, but you got pregnant, and now you're stuck for 18 years. Well, over 18 years that you're stuck, if you don't piss her off, she's not going to make your life miserable. The culture develops happy wife, happy life because if she is not happy, she will divorce you, take the house, take the car, take the kids, take the dog, put you on alimony, put you on child support, make you pay the mortgage, make you pay the car note. You're going to be living in a cardboard box up underneath an overpass trying to work three jobs out of revenge for how she feels. Now, if she's happy, you'll get fed. She might clean your clothes and you might get some sex. So the dynamic becomes if we keep the tyrant happy, they don't torture us. Happy wife, happy life. I don't agree with that logic. I believe that the same pedestal that she wants to be put on, Corinthians 1 through 31, she puts her husband on the same pedestal. Because true equality means that as I worship the ground that you walk on, you worship the ground that I walk on. Because if it's one sided, we're not equal. And if we're not equal, the one who's putting the most into this relationship, physically, mentally, and financially, is the one that should be worshiped. That's my observation. Now, I know some ladies are going to disagree with that. They can chime in and tell me why. He says, number one, duty is respect or leave. Her number one duty is supposed to be to respect her man, and that goes a long, long way. So many women have lost respect for the male gender that they believe that respecting men is oppressive to women. They don't even know what respecting a man looks like. And that's crazy. But ultimately, that's going to be the reason why those same women fail at finding good husbands. They say they're single by choice. You're not single by choice. The men you want will sleep around with you, but not marry you and commit to you. And the men you don't want will marry you. Crazy. He says, to live and play on the same sheet of music. But you can't live and play on the same sheet of music. You know, you have to create a structure first and then use it. You can't use what you're creating at the same time all the time. You have to build success before you can benefit from it. So here, we're going to need to make a critical distinction between admiration and respect. Admiration is often conditional praise for what a man has done. I'm so proud of you for that promotion. You're amazing at fixing things. That's admiration. That's not respect. It is a form of confirmation, but that's not respect. Admiration is wonderful. And in some situations, when the validation is part of his love language, admiration will make him feel competent and appreciated. When it's not his love language, he could give two shits if you give him praise, if you have no respect for what he says. Respect is going to be a lot deeper. It's about honoring who he is at his core. It's going to be trusting his character, including his judgment and his intentions, even when he stumbles, even when he fucks up and falls off. You know he still got it. You believe he's going to come through for you, right? Respect says that I believe in the man that you are, even on the days that you don't hit a home run. Admiration is cheering when he wins. Respect is believing in him, especially when he loses. Most women leave when the men lose and put a rubber stamp on it and call the man a loser. This develops levels of trauma in men where they don't want to get back into another relationship because they don't get valued by the women that they choose. But a lot of that is men making bad choices in women. Michael says the easiest way I pick up a woman in the bar is to sit in the back and lick my eyebrows with my tongue. First of all, Michael, if you can take your tongue and hit your eyebrow with it like a fucking gecko, you should be in a circus. Secondly, if the mindset that she has while she's watching your tongue do things that is not natural, then ultimately she is only talking to you for desire, not because she respects you, not because she admires you. The novelty of what she thinks you'll do to her with that tongue is going to be why she's there. And if you do a good enough job, she might linger to experience it again. But she doesn't respect you. She doesn't appreciate you, and she may not admire you, right? So when you're not in the bedroom, what'll end up happening is she will disrespect you, she will devalue you, she will shame you, she will talk over you, she will talk down to you, she will shout at you in front of your friends, she will embarrass you in front of her friends and family, she will dare you to say something because, oh yeah, the things he does with his tongue in the bedroom, but that's for her benefit, not for yours. So all you get out of the mix is you might be able to turn a woman that is not interested in you on enough for you to sleep with her. That's what licking your eyebrow will do. Which a lot of men find ways to get that exact same outcome is to trigger desire in the woman so that she lingers when there isn't enough money to go around. But if she's there for desire, when she no longer desires it, she no longer desires you, which is a short term relationship. We're talking about the long term relationships. A man will enjoy the company of a woman who admires him, but he will commit his life to a woman who truly respects him. This ties into a deep seated human need to feel essential and valued by the people that we love. So, a man is going to want to feel that he makes a meaningful difference in your life. That's going to be his strength. His efforts and his support add tangible value to your world. So it's not about being weak. It's going to be about your life being genuinely better and happier because he's in it. Special shout out to Jesse Talks. What's going on, Jesse? Good to see you, my man. You missed a lot of stuff over the past few weeks. We talked about the emissions law that's being stopped in California. We talked about the student loan um, repayment plans that's been going out, putting Donald Trump on a coin. He's signing all of the cash. So it's going to have "In God We Trust" that's signed by Donald Trump. We've been uh, covering a lot of asset topics, really. The market swung exactly the way I said it was going to swing, sitting right around $60 an ounce for silver, um, which is around about $7 an ounce for or $7 a pound for copper, which is almost 10% of silver. So we've been doing a lot of things. We've been covering a lot of information. It's good to have you back. It's good to have you back. I'm pretty sure that you have been on the political campaign trails. You've been on the road because I know it's midterm elections for November 23rd, 2026. So I know that you have been rallying some troops. You have been promoting some folks. You have been putting some people in places that they otherwise would not have been in without affiliating with you. So I'm enthusiastic about the good news that you're going to have for me coming soon, if not today. Um, I'm waiting for you to tell me when you're running for something because you've been planting a lot of flags over the last 9 months. And I'm waiting on you to tell me that you're running for something. First generation politics, that speaks a lot. If you were second and third generation politics, it'd be like, his dad or his grandpa got his foot in the door. But you're first generation politics. So for you to be running for something and backed by a bunch, that says a lot. While he types up form, we're going to keep pushing. And then we'll touch base on what he has to say. Activating the feeling of long term commitment. Oh, there it is. We're going to get back to that statement. He says, I'll probably run one day, but I think I need to mature a little more. Once I am 40, I'll be unstoppable. Um, are you what? How old are you now? Closer to 35? Because I'm waiting for like the world's youngest president of the United States. You know what I mean? Um, I want to see some Guinness Book of Records being broken right here. 28. Man, you know what you can do in 6 years, which would put you at 34. And there's a lot of political chairs, a lot of political positions that you can sit on for 2 years and move up the corporate ladder and then run for president at 35 and be the youngest campaigning president in the modern time. I know that wasn't your plan. That's my plan for you. You know, uh, it's not going to happen exactly on your 35th because I mean you're going to be in between presidential years since you're 28. Because that'll be 7 years from now. So 5 years after Donald Trump, which means that it'll be 1 year into the president after Trump. But if you can get into the White House at 40 or by 40, it'd be the youngest president. I think you could pull it off. I really think you can. Because I'm still considering which state I'll plant my roots in. I cannot run for office until that is established. But why are you torn between more than one state? I know that you've been on a campaign trail, which means you have to touch base in multiple states, even though you're aiding somebody else in their ability to campaign. The first place that I would establish roots in would either be my hometown where I was born and raised, or the town, the city, and state that I spent the largest majority of my life, whichever one is more meaningful. So, being 28, if you spent more than 14 years in a state that you weren't born in, that's the state that you should be planting your flag in. If you're 28 and you've spent less than 14 years outside of your hometown, then that's where you should be planting your flag, is at your hometown. That's how you decide it. Because outside of you having a plan that fixes the corruption in a specific state that has nothing to do with your legacy, outside of that option, it's going on which one you blend with the most. Well, I'm connected in two states, but believe I could build support in a new state. Well, having political friends in multiple states doesn't require you to stick to either one of those states. If the political backing from two states allows you to grab a third state and build yourself an empire in the third state, that could help you get into a congressional position because you would have three states backing you if you wanted to go into Congress. But again, which state you decide is really going to be based off of the two factors that I gave you, three factors that I gave you. The one that you can benefit the most, or the one that you mesh with the most. Now, if you're going with an option four, the one that you have the most leverage in, which means the one that you have the most connections in, you've scratched enough backs over the past 9 months. It's time for them to scratch yours, kind of situation. Then you can go to that. That's like option four, option five. But you said before that you're not trying to get in based off of somebody else's merit. And that means that you're going to do it because of your own merit, which means that you're going to be doing it from a place that you know from heart, which would be the place that you spent the most of your life in, whether it's the second place that you lived after you were born, or the place that you lived in from birth. And that'd be part of your campaign, is that you're a hometown hero, which actually wins elections a whole lot more than you think. So, um, once you figure it out, though, let me know, and I will definitely mention it quite a few times. Um, we don't campaign for people on this podcast, but I'll definitely mention that you're out there running, and anybody who's in your state that you're running for should look at the polls and look at the policies, and see what benefits and what doesn't, and then make the right choice. Now, back to what I was saying about the main topic, because we're halfway through. Um, this is going to be when you're manufacturing a genuine feeling of value in the relationship. It's going to be about letting a man into your world in a more meaningful way. This is going to be one of those situations where I've told ladies on a regular basis that your man is not equal to you because he's better than you, because he has more money, he has more stuff, he does more things. A man is on your level when that man can do for you exactly everything that you could have done for yourself. That's a man that's on your level. If he's doing more for you than what you could have ever imagined possible, he is on another level than you, which means you are a dependent in his world, which is not the equality that women think it is. Steven says, I can campaign, I can campaign in the comments for you. Yeah, he could, because I'm not going to stop him. It wouldn't let me throw in an extra admin once I put Michael in there as an admin, and I think Mr. Pibbs is in there as the other admin. It's like my hands are tied. I can't change anything. I don't know why. Um, it won't let me do anything during the show. It won't let me do anything after the show. Really pisses me off, because I'd be wanting to show people more love on the channel, and it just StreamYard just doesn't let me do it. Jesse says, it's more fun to be behind the scenes most of the time in politics. Um, I believe that if you're the guy that gets stuff done, because again, the strength of a king is not what the king actually does, it is the loyalty of his people. So a king is not powerful because he himself can move mountains. A king is powerful because he says, I want to see the horizon over that mountain. And his people cut a hole in that mountain so that you can see the horizon through that mountain. But that requires building a large quantity of loyalty and trust amongst a lot of people. Now, if you gain loyalty and trust through admiration and appreciation instead of conquering people with fear, then you're going to be in a situation where you have less reasons for people to rebel against you and more reasons to lead because you built a following. So while it is fun to watch the wheels turn in the background, if you have lit enough lights in your life, you are entitled to have that light shine on you. And the more lights that you lit, the more light you should brightly shine. And ultimately, that means that you should be in a position where you're in the spotlight, that you are, on the front lines, that you are the center of attention. And that means that you should be able to get that political leadership role and ultimately be in a position where you can mentor someone that's just like you, a first generation political influencer, where you go from being the apprentice to being the mentor, which is an elevation because now you're taking what you've learned and you're teaching someone else. And one of the better parts of that is that instead of the traditional lobbyist politics where money makes financial decisions instead of voting, you would be making the decisions based on what's right and what's not right. And you would be teaching other next generation politics to do the same thing. Um, Not everybody can be bought when they're not in a desperate situation. Now, a lot of people can be blackmailed because politics requires reputation. If somebody's willing to destroy your reputation, then I mean, you don't got much left to stand on. But beyond that, you know, while it's good to be behind the scenes, you might want to consider when will it be your time to stand center stage. Now, Steven says that just goes, that's okay because responsibility is a heavy responsibility. Well, that's pretty much what Jesse is saying. More responsibility is a lot more responsibility. And when you're helping someone else be successful, you have less responsibility. You can make the wheels turn and you can inherently make someone successful and be proud of that achievement. While if things don't go according to plan, you're not held responsible for the fallout a lot of the times, which sometimes is good. But when you have made enough people succeed, you start asking yourself eventually, why have I not even tried? If I can get a bunch of other people in the right spot to be successful, why am I not as successful as them? Right? You don't want to stay the person at the bottom, helping everybody else over, right? Eventually, you want everybody else that's gotten a level up to pull you up to the next level as well. Jesse says, I've worked in politics on and off since I was 17. I've never worked with government itself. I have learned that I am not hired because I am anti-establishment, uh, not because of qualifications. Well, I, I don't have an opinion about anti-establishment, but I do believe that the traditions that we do have need to change because it's not beneficial for us. And one of the things that I've seen with Donald Trump's position is that a lot of the things that he does do does change a lot of shit. I can't say that it's always changed for the better, but I can say that it is something different and something new. And we need something different and something new. Um, but the things that he's doing right now is going to take like 20, 25 years for us to see the results. So I'm going to be like 65, 72 when the fruits of Donald Trump's efforts actually becomes, and that's if it's not undermined by the following Democratic parties. Um, if what he does is not undermined, um, the fruits of his efforts, what it does to the economy. But I still believe that um, even with the observation of being anti-establishment, you point out through logic and reason how the way things are, how the establishment is, doesn't work for the people. And I think that that makes a lot of sense. And when the old heads start thinking about how, I mean, we've been letting it happen, but it doesn't benefit any of us. Uh, People start thinking, well, shit, maybe we should start trying to fix a little bit of this. We can't just keep kicking a can down the road. We have to eventually address certain things that aren't being addressed. And when we do, we're going to have some very heavy, deep-seated conversations because not everybody's going to agree. Steven says, change the establishment because you're going to change it for the better. Being anti anything is a strong position. Yes, that's what the Generation X did in the WWE. It says the government wants to maintain the status quo, and many candidates do until they get in office. And I've been denied government jobs I'm qualified for. So my political campaigns love me though. So because you're not part of the status quo, you have found yourself not you found yourself not achieving certain government jobs that you would otherwise be qualified for because you are not in favor of their agendas. Well, keep doing what you're doing because you'll find yourself in a different society coming soon where some of your agendas might actually be necessary. The only thing that I can truly say in 2026 that I was so disappointed about was that we didn't get the 24-hour lawless day at least once a year. That's what I was hoping for was the true to life 24-hour lawless day. And it'd be an annual situation. That's what I was hoping for. We don't have to name it what they named it in the movie. We can call it a cleansing. I don't care. But the 24-hour lawless day, that should have been something that we did. Now, but beyond that, everything else didn't bother me. We're just adapting and changing and navigating around the things that are outside of our controls. So we were talking about before I went off the rails the man's feelings of being valued in a relationship and why this is very important. So we have an example. If you ask a man's opinion on a problem that you're facing at work and you truly listen to him, maybe something like, you know, I'm struggling with a difficult colleague, I really respect how you handle politics, what do you think? This is going to send a signal to your partner that your wisdom has value to me. And it can be about, sharing a goal and letting him support you, such as, I'm training for a 10K and losing motivation. Could you help me stay on, knowing that you're caring for me makes a huge difference. This sends the signal that your support makes me stronger. So it's going to be all about what you don't do, right? Because the respect destroying behavior is to hover over his shoulder while he's assembling furniture, criticizing his methods. The respect building behavior is going to be to give him the space, trusting that he'll figure it out or ask for help if he needs it, right? Jesse says, I got to peace out, but always appreciate you, Xander, and your show and perspectives. Well, I really appreciate you having the time to come over. Whenever you have time to swing back by, I look forward to seeing you, and I wish you the best of luck on all your future endeavors. So, as soon as you slide into those political positions, you already know Steven's going to be like, Jesse talks, Jesse talks. He's gonna be like the Daniel Bryan of podcasts. It's Jesse Tuss, Jesse Tuss. So back to our main topic. Think about the power of your gaze, because when you look at somebody, it could either be like putting daggers in them, or it could be like one of the most powerful things ever. If your look is constantly one of judgment, focusing on his flaws, you know, a man is going to feel like a perpetual disappointment. No one wants to commit to a life of feeling inadequate. But if your gaze sees his potential, acknowledges his efforts, and focuses on his strengths, not his weaknesses, you become a mirror reflecting the best versions of him back at him. And one of the things that we say is that, like, we look for those characteristics in women, is that if you project the best sides of me, observe the worst sides of me, and then adapt to shield those sides of me from society where nobody ever sees my weaknesses, you make me a better man overall. And that is where the observation that she is my better half, because she overcame all the worst parts of me so that people only see the best parts of me. And she's not upset, frustrated, ashamed, or embarrassed of the worst parts of me, right? This doesn't just mean that you ignore that behavior. The difference is going to be in the delivery, because a critical partner says that you're so lazy, you always leave your clothes on the floor. A respectful partner says, hey, when your clothes are left on the floor, it makes me feel like our shared space isn't a priority. And it would mean a lot if you could just keep this room tidy together. One is a character attack, the other is a respectful, team focused request. Now, we got some folks that gonna come get you with that, get your shit off my floor, and throw some shit. You gotta understand, it's all in the kind of partner that you choose. Now, I just want to sidestep y'all. If navigating the line between setting standards and showing respect feels complicated, um, I have created a guide, and it should be called the communication shift, and it should be in the membership already, because I was releasing these before the show even came up. I told you I was on a roll this past week. And it's going to walk you through some simple steps with conversation tweaks. It's going to help you guys build the kind of respect that you need in your relationship to succeed. You can get this information from clicking one of the links in the membership. So this is my ability to give you guys something for you to invest in your relationships, and your time can be more beneficial with your partner by taking a lot of these steps. So if safety and respect are about the heart, the third signal is going to be about the head. It's the signal of an aligned future. And this is going to be where the relationship moves from serious to wonderful moments. And it's going to go from like repetitive wonderful moments to a viable long term project where we're actually building something in a seemingly forever fashion. This is going to be where he goes from thinking, I love being with her, to I can build a life with her. Now, before anyone makes the biggest decision of their life, there's an internal logical review. And it's going to sound very unromantic, but it's a deeply responsible process. You're not just choosing a partner, you're choosing a co pilot for the enterprise of your life. Now, a man's brain needs to know that you're both flying in the same direction. And he's going to ask some fundamental questions. Are we building towards the same future? Right? Now, love can feel like it conquers all, but logic knows that love alone cannot bridge the fundamental gap in core values. So a man can love you deeply, but if he sees a future completely at odds with yours, he is going to hesitate. And that hesitation isn't a sign that his love is weak. It's a sign that his logic has spotted a critical incompatibility. And these are not the compatibility problems that you guys can cover up. So let's break down the pillars of alignment that his mind is subconsciously checking for. The financial values. This is going to be the top reason for conflict and divorce. Are you a spender while he's a saver? Do you have similar goals for what money should achieve? A home, investments, travel. He doesn't need you to have the same income, but he does need you to feel that you are a financial teammate, not a liability. Now, the second one's going to be the family goals. Does he desperately want to be a father while you're unsure about kids? What about your philosophies on raising them? Your relationships with extended family? If his version is coaching Little League on Saturdays and yours is climbing Machu Picchu, love alone may not reconcile that. The third is lifestyles and social values. You know that a lot of the times we might want something a little bit more adventurous in our life because we live a very stable and boring life. So we find ourselves getting involved with a chaotic lifestyle so that we can have a little bit of thrill. But we come to find out that our lifestyles are not the same, that our social values are not the same. And then we start reconsidering our situation. Look, you've got to find out, is the man a homebody who craves quiet nights while you thrive on a busy social calendar? Does the man dream of the suburbs while you can't imagine a life outside of the bustling city? These small things add up over a lifetime. He's looking for a partner whose desired lifestyle feels complementary, not contradictory, right? So he might want a house with a very big yard. You might want a house that doesn't have an HOA. That's complementary. If he wants a house and you want a condo, that is not complementary. The fourth is going to be the spiritual and moral compass. Now, this isn't just about religion, guys. It's going to be about your core beliefs. What's right and wrong in your mind, and how do you treat people? Do you share a sense of integrity? Because a man needs to feel his partner's moral compass points in the same direction. Now, the finer pillar is a personal growth and ambition observation. Now, do you support each other's growth or feel threatened by it? A healthy partnership is one where both people have the space to support and evolve. Now, a man is going to need to see that you, as a cheerleader, are going to be for his ambitions, not a roadblock, and vice versa. So when a man feels that your values across these pillars are in sync with his, a profound sense of certainty washes over him. Now, it's not just that he loves you, it's that a life with you actually starts making sense now. Now, the future becomes an exciting project that he gets to build with his most trusted partner. And I know we've arrived at one of the final signals, which is a culmination of the first three. After feeling safe, respected, and aligned, he makes one last assessment. And it's boiled down to this: is my life as a whole objectively better with her in it? That shit's huge. Is this relationship a source of peace and strength or a source of chaos and stress? That one question right there, ladies, will destroy everything else that you were doing. You will think that I've covered all of the other stuff that Xander talked about today, and he still won't marry me. Why? Well, because somewhere along the lines, man, you're a source of his chaos and a source of his stress, not a source of his strength and a source of his peace. And as a result, that means that you can't be married by him because he doesn't want to marry into chaos. He doesn't want to commit to hell on earth. That's a wild thought to have, but that's true to life, the dynamic. In any long term relationship, there is a powerful truth. Peace is more sustainable than chaos. Life is already full of challenges: work, pressure, financial stress, the constant demand to perform. We have a lot of situations where people are culturally beaten down by society on a regular basis. When they come home, they don't want to be beat down by their partner. You have a lot of situations where a person's pride and integrity is forced into submission so that they can maintain their position and climb a ladder. And then when they come home, they don't want to be forced into submission at their house, right? So the last thing anyone wants is to come home to a battleground. A life partner should be a sanctuary, not a second war zone. I told Michael at the beginning of the show, if you're talking for you and I'm talking for me, and we're conflicting opinions, we're fighting. And that's not good for the relationship. We should not have a civil war. We should have a collective agreement. We should be able to we should be able to not agree in the moment, sidebar, have a discussion like Family Feud, come to an agreement, and then one of us represent both of us as a unified front. And even if you make a bad call, I'm gonna back your play. Right? I didn't think you were gonna rob that jewelry store, but I'm gonna be your getaway driver. We're gonna work this out later, but in the moment, I'm not gonna let you fail to the best of my ability. Not what we have in modern 2026 is that if he slipped, she's going to record it and laugh at him. That is not how relationships are supposed to be. And God forbid, kick them while it's down. That's not how relationships are supposed to be. But that's the kind of relationships we're seeing with Gen Zs. So this is going to be the difference between a home base and a roller coaster. A roller coaster has an intoxicating high with dramatic lows. It's addictive for a while, but utterly exhausting long term. Home base is a refuge. It's where you recharge, feel seen, and accepted. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to be boring, but a lot of people who are addicted to toxic might feel that that is boring. That stability is boring. But instead, it is actually full of love and deep connection. But it's a foundation of peace. A man might rent a ticket for the roller coaster just to try it, but he builds his life at a home base. Now, this reflects the principles of a secure, functioning relationship. The core idea is that both partners agree to prioritize the safety and security of the relationship above all else. It's a we against the problem situation. And it's the type of mentality that will sustain a relationship, not a me against you scenario or a I'm always right and you are always a fuck up scenario. So, what does this look like? Well, one core principle is that you never threaten to the existence of the relationship. I know so many people are capable of manipulating the dynamics when they have nothing left and argue or mention or recommend or insinuate or in some situations even joke about it. But in a secure partnership, the word breakup isn't used ever and is definitely not used as a weapon. You don't give the silent treatment for days. Underlying commitment is never held hostage. This creates profound security. Another principle is that You have each other's backs unconditionally. You are his fiercest defender in public. So if yo man could be one of the worst and perceivably observed worthless men in the neighborhood, and you will forever articulate the best parts of how he is awesome. He's going to be like the Miz. He's awesome with the largest loss record in the league, right? You have to present a united front. When he's facing a crisis, you are the first one in his corner asking, how can we handle this? You want to know how to help, not just belittle the fact that he's failing. This is how you show that you are a true team. It means basing decisions on true neutrality. It's not about 50-50 compromise where everyone is a little bit unhappy. It's about finding a win-win solution that serves both of you. When he sees you're genuinely invested in his happiness, not just trying to win an argument, then he sees you as a true partner, not an adversary. Ultimately, becoming his peace means mastering your own emotional regulations. So you aren't making him responsible for your happiness. You have your own sources of fulfillment and your own ways of managing stress. And you'd better stand on that shit. And this is going to allow you to be calmer in his storm rather than another storm that he has to manage on top of the hurricanes of life that's already thrashing at his doorsteps. When a man constantly experiences this, that his life is calmer, stronger, and happier because you are his partner, the decision to commit becomes self evident. It's not a leap of faith anymore. It's the most logical, natural step that he could take. So let's bring it all together. Now, we've gone through the four crucial signals that a man is often looking for before he can fully commit. First, he needs an unshakable emotional safety, where the knowledge that he can be his most vulnerable self with you without fear of judgment. This is going to be the foundation. Second, he needs to feel your genuine respect and admiration, which is the sense that you believe in the man that he is at his core and see him as competent and essential. This is going to be the framework. And then third, he needs to see the alignment in your future and the shared mission, which is the logical confirmation that you're both building towards the same life with compatible values. And this is going to be the blueprint. And then finally, he needs to feel the relationship is a net positive, which is a source of peace that makes his life better and stronger, not a source of drama. And this is going to be the final sign off. So the frustration that you may have felt can now be replaced with clarity and hopefully a lot of empowerment. Because it was never that the love wasn't real, it's that the love is the music. But these four signals creates the harmony. His commitment isn't a mystery to be solved, but a response to be inspired. When he consistently feels safe, respected, aligned, and at peace with you, ladies, the question of will he commit transforms into a statement of how soon can we start our forever. That's a very big change. So, if this conversation has sparked something in you and you're ready to go deeper, I want you guys to learn more from. I'm going to put something else into the membership that's going to be called Committing with Confidence. And we're going to be using this in the membership. I think I'm going to try to slide that in on like Sunday or Monday, where we'll be able to work together to turn these concepts into your reality. Now, you're going to be finding a lot of these links in the membership. So you want to go take a look at that. And if you're not quite ready for that, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that when we release more videos, because we release one every day, you will be able to be given the tools to build an extraordinary relationship while you improve your financial decision making skills. Now, still a bit short, but a lot longer than yesterday. That's all I have for you guys for tonight. I'm going to start by saying special shout out to Michael Steven and Jesse Toss, FX Trader, Aztec, Unk, Andy, and Joe Jack. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show. Then we're going to go ahead and say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you this information to make your guys higher value men. But today's information, ladies, this was for y'all. So even though this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, I tell you the same thing I tell the men, is that, ladies, if you find the things in your life that is inside of your control that you don't like and you put in effort to change it, not change the other person, then navigate around the things that are outside of your control, ladies, you'll find yourselves with a better way of life. And then you can make yourselves higher value women by prioritizing your 20 and 30-year plan. Today was a perfect example of why that works. Because by knowing what you want and knowing how to get there, you can engineer a pattern and a path to head down. And if you keep your eyes and ears open for the potential suitor, you get to pay attention to his personality, his characteristics, his drive, ambition, his motivation, admiration, dedication, and his integrity to achieve his goals. And you go find out what his goals are. If his goals align with your goals, where you guys are both working towards long-term satisfaction, not short-term gratification, you can find that y'all might ultimately be able to achieve each other's goals a lot faster. And I tell you guys on a regular basis that 2 people can make it to $1 million faster than 1. But you just got to work together, compromise, negotiate, and cooperate. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys for the rest of the week. I want you guys to make sure that you swing back by. And I'm going to say thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.